My Freeds, right now, the Lions are sitting on a bye week, and it couldn't have come at a better time. The city's quiet, the pads are off, and Detroit fans are trying to figure out what to do with their Sunday when their team isn't on the field. Maybe you're heading to the orchard, maybe you're spending time with the family, or maybe you're still glued to NFL Red Zone, tracking fantasy lineups that are wrecked by bye weeks. Either way, even without a game, the talk around this team hasn't slowed down one bit, because trade rumors are once again dominating the conversation in Detroit. Every season, when the Lions get a breather, the speculation machine fires up. And right now, it's heating fast. Headlines and social media are buzzing with names like Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals and Max Crosby from the Raiders being thrown around as potential trade targets. But here's the truth, none of that's happening. Not this year. Not with this team. Detroit's defense is playing too well, too connected, too balanced to go chasing big names and bloated contracts. Let's be honest, the defensive line has been one of the team's biggest strengths. Alquad and Muhammad is stepping up, and Alion McNeil's return has completely changed the way this defense looks up front. You could see it in the game against Tampa Bay, the pressure, the control, the dominance up front. That performance didn't just silence doubters, it showed how deep and disciplined this unit really is. So when people throw out ideas of trading for Crosby or Hendrickson, it feels off. Why fix what isn't broken? Especially when the cost would be sky high both in draft capital and in future salary cap pain. Speaking of which, the salary cap is a big deal right now. The Lions are sitting in a healthy spot today, roughly $24 million in space, but looking ahead to 2026, things get tight, extremely tight, with barely $1 million to spare. Jared Goff alone carries a massive $70 million cap hit next year, and that's before even mentioning guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, McNeil, Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker, Aiden Hutchinson, and DJ Reed. Those names are the core of the franchise, and every single one of them is earning, or about to earn, top-tier money. That's why a big money trade just doesn't make sense. Fans can dream about superstar pass rushers, but the front office knows the math doesn't work. And really, it doesn't need to, because Detroit already has their Max Crosby. They already have their Trey Hendrickson. His name is Aiden Hutchinson. He's young, he's elite, and he's leading a defense that's proving every week it can win with what it has. Hutch is the kind of player you build a team around, not someone you push to the side because another flashy name hits the rumor mill. And let's not forget, this front office has been smart with its resources. The Lions don't have a third-round pick next year. Both were shipped off to the Jaguars in the Teshawn trade, but they've still got a first, a second, a fourth, a fifth, 2 sixths, and a seventh. That's plenty of ammo to work with, especially when you're targeting value moves instead of blockbuster trades. These are the types of picks that smart franchises use to add depth, not chase headlines. That's why if Detroit does make a move, it's going to be for someone like Arden Key from the Titans, a solid, experienced edge guy who's 29, sitting on an expiring deal, and could come cheap. That's the kind of move that makes sense. You're not mortgaging your future, you're just building reliable depth for the playoff push. But again, even that might not be necessary. The team's getting healthier, the defense is tightening up, and the cornerback situation, which some people keep pointing to as an area of concern, might not be the crisis people make it out to be. Rocky has been solid when called upon. Amick Robertson continues to be that scrappy, relentless player every Detroit fan loves. And once DJ Reed returns, the secondary starts to look even stronger. Sure, there's still a question about Terrion Arnold. How good can he really be? How quickly can he develop? But that's part of the normal growing process for any young defensive back. You don't blow up your cap space or trade valuable picks just because a rookie's still learning. Michael Carter too has also been thrown into the rumor mill, but again, the numbers don't line up. The Jets corner carries a cap hit north of $12 million into 2026. Bringing him in to play a backup role behind guys like Reed just doesn't make financial sense. This front office knows it can't tie up that kind of money in a secondary piece. They've built this roster carefully, with intention, and they're not about to undo that for a name that sounds good on paper. The same goes for Tyreek Woolen. A fifth-rounder won't get him out of Seattle, probably not even a fourth. And with how this defense is performing, the Lions aren't desperate enough to overpay for someone like that. What's impressive about this moment is that Detroit is acting like a real contender, not a desperate team trying to make a splash. They're disciplined, measured, and confident in what they've built. That's new for Lions fans. For years, this team was chasing big names and short-term excitement. Now, they're focused on long-term stability and sustainable success. And maybe that's the biggest sign of how far this organization has come. But if we're being honest, if there's one spot to watch for a possible move, it might not even be on defense at all. It might be at tackle. Taylor Decker's shoulder remains a concern, and both Skipper and Jones are dealing with their own injuries. Depth at that position could become crucial as the season grinds on. A smart, low-cost trade for a dependable tackle could end up being the quiet move that makes a big difference down the stretch. So as we sit here in the middle of the bye, the big question isn't really about Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson. It's about whether the Lions should make any move at all. Should Detroit stay the course with the team they've built, healthy, balanced, and financially smart, or take a calculated swing for one more piece before the playoff run really begins? What do you think, Lions fans? Because let's be real, this is not the old Detroit Lions anymore. This is a team built on patience, discipline, and identity. It's a team that knows who it is and refuses to get distracted by the noise. Think about how many times in the past we saw this franchise panic at the halfway point, throwing away picks for temporary help or trying to patch holes with overpriced veterans. Those days are done. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have set a tone in Allen Park that's completely different from anything we've seen before. It's a tone that says, trust what we've built, trust our process, and trust the guys in that locker room. When you look at the roster, you can see exactly why they're comfortable sitting tight. This defense is playing like one of the most complete units in football. Alan McNeil is anchoring the line and has turned into an absolute force against the run. Aiden Hutchinson continues to grow into one of the most impactful defensive ends in the league, a relentless motor, elite technique, and leadership that shows up in every snap. And then you have role players like Alquad and Mohammed, stepping in and producing at a high level, proving this team's depth is the real story. So when national media keeps linking the Lions to names like Max Crosby, you have to wonder if they're even paying attention. Sure, Crosby is a monster, everyone knows that, but the Lions don't need another star edge rusher. They have one. They develop one. They're not just looking for production. They're building a culture, and Hutchinson is the embodiment of that. He's not chasing fame. He's chasing wins. That's the difference. And the same thing goes for Trey Hendrickson. Solid player, absolutely. But again, what would that move accomplish? Would it really make the defense better, or would it just create a logjam and financial headache? When your locker room already has chemistry, when the defensive front is clicking, sometimes the best move is no move at all. Now, if we're shifting the conversation to the cornerback group, it's fair to say fans still have a few lingering concerns there. The injuries have made things tough. DJ Reed's absence has definitely been felt, but you can see the foundation of something strong forming. Amick Robertson has become one of those players that fans instantly rally behind. He's not the biggest guy, but his heart, his aggression, his playmaking ability, they all jump off the screen. Rocky Sin has also shown that when his number's called, he delivers. And that's what good teams do. They find depth pieces who can step up when it matters most. The big unknown, as everyone's talking about, is Terrion Arnold. The rookie's got all the talent in the world, but he's still adjusting to the NFL's speed and complexity. There are growing pains. That's normal. The question isn't whether he can play, it's how quickly he can reach his potential. And with the veterans around him and the coaching he's getting, Detroit's betting that time will handle that issue naturally. Now, one thing that hasn't gotten nearly enough attention is how financially tight things are about to get. Everyone's celebrating the cap space now, but look a little further down the road, and the picture changes. Jared Goff's cap hit next year sits at a massive $70 million. That's franchise quarterback money, and it's deserved. He's earned it with the way he's led this team. But when you combine that with major deals for guys like St. Brown, Sewell, McNeil, and Hutchinson soon to come, you realize how delicate the balance becomes. That's why the idea of trading for a guy like Michael Carter too, with a $12 million cap hit into 2026, doesn't fit. You're not going to pay that kind of money for a third corner, especially one who was sitting behind the same DJ Reed you already have. And it's the same story with someone like Tyreek Woolen. A fifth rounder isn't getting it done. Seattle's not giving him up cheap, and Detroit's not desperate enough to overpay. So what happens next? Maybe nothing. Maybe this front office stays exactly where it is and rides this roster into November and December. Or maybe, just maybe, Holmes works the phones quietly for depth, not at corner, not at edge, but at tackle, because that's the one area where the cracks are starting to show. Taylor Decker's shoulder injury isn't something you can ignore. He's tough, no question, but the grind of the season wears on every lineman, and the backup situation isn't ideal. Dan Skipper's been reliable but not bulletproof. Jones is hurt. Manu's hurt. Suddenly, that position feels thin, and that's the kind of weakness that can sneak up on you during a playoff push. If Detroit does make a move before the deadline, a small trade for a steady, experienced tackle could make all the difference. And that's what makes this conversation so fascinating. For the first time in a long time, the Lions aren't talking about rebuilding. They're talking about refining. They're not looking to shake things up. They're looking to lock things down. Every move, or non-move, now carries playoff weight. That's new territory for Detroit, and honestly, it's the best problem you can have. So as fans, the question isn't just who should we trade for, it's do we even need to trade at all? Should this front office stick with the roster that's earned every inch of this success, or should they pull the trigger on one small, strategic addition to shore up the trenches before the stretch run? Let me know what you think, Lions fans. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe standing pat is the right call, or is there one position you'd like to see Brad Holmes address before it's too late? And if you're enjoying this deep dive into Lions strategy, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more exclusive coverage, and stay tuned. We've got plenty more coming your way. I'll see you in the next video. And when you think about what this team's been through over the years, it's hard not to appreciate how different it feels now. There's confidence instead of chaos. There's vision instead of panic. Every move, or even the choice not to move, is grounded in purpose. Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes aren't chasing headlines. They're building a legacy. They're playing the long game. That's what separates contenders from pretenders. Look around the league. Teams panic every trade deadline, throwing picks at temporary fixes, while Detroit is staying composed. They've already proven they can win ugly, they can win physical, and they can win smart. That tells you everything about where this organization is headed. And let's not overlook something simple but powerful: chemistry. You can't buy it. You can't fake it. The unity in that locker room is what's driving this team right now. Players believe in each other, and that's rare. A huge, expensive name dropped into the middle of that. Someone who might not fit the personality or rhythm could easily throw it off. So as tempting as the rumors sound, the Lions' best move might just be believing in what they already have. It's also a message to the rest of the NFL. This is not a franchise desperate for respect anymore. They've earned it. Week after week, this team is proving that Detroit belongs in the playoff conversation, not because of flashy trades or off-field noise, but because of on-field execution. They're young, they're talented, and they're balanced.